Call of Duty Zombies is a franchise that has been beloved to me ever since I was introduced to it back in November 2012, offering a simple but effective and addicting gameplay loop that had me hooked immediately. Over the years, the mode has had its ups and downs, to say the least, from iconic maps like Kino de Toten and Mob of the Dead striking a connection with the player and enticing them to play more, to disappointing map releases like Transit that simply left more to be desired, from the absolute masterpiece of a game that is Black Ops 3 Zombies offering a near-perfect overall experience to every type of player, to the main director and producer of the Zombies mode, Jason Blundell, literally leaving the studio due to Activision limiting his creativity and freedom of production, as well as rumors of a cancelled standalone Zombies experience that would have been developed by Jason Blundell and Lee Ross, who was the developer of Infinite Warfare Zombies. God, imagine. When you compare COD Zombies to many other popular wave-based or arcade modes, you really start to realize how much potential the mode has always had to become even better than it already is. If you look at popular roguelike games such as The Binding of Isaac, Hades, or Risk of Rain 2, the main reason these games are so beloved and played to this day is primarily the infinite replayability that each one offers, while adhering to players of all skill levels and simultaneously providing a plethora of achievements for the player to obtain. Similarly, Call of Duty Zombies has had glimpses of said features, but never explored them to their full potential. If we look back at the most obvious example, main Easter egg quests, which is the ongoing hook of each map, the want and drive to progress both the overarching story and to collect the achievement for beating the egg. In recent years, Zombies modes that have released since Black Ops 4 have lacked that level of depth that the mode originally used to captivate its audience. Black Ops 3 is highly praised as the best mode in the entire franchise, and for perfectly good reason. Completely irrelevant to the fact it has custom zombies, which therefore means unlimited content, the game was built with love, and it's shown in every corner of development. From the sheer attention to detail in the aesthetic of maps, absurd amounts of side quests, hidden ciphers that are still being discovered to this day, beloved gameplay loops that put fun as the forefront of anything, and that's just touching the surface. Now, take Modern Warfare Zombies for example. While the addition of the giant worm boss was cool conceptually, at the end of the day, the entire main quest to get to that point was the same generic gameplay formula used throughout the base MWZ experience. One point that needs to be emphasized is the fact that both MWZ and Vanguard didn't even release with a main Easter egg quest. It was added in subsequent updates post-launch. Now this can be slightly excused for Vanguard as hardly anyone from Treyarch was actually working on this, and it was 100% just rushed out to slightly entice Zombies players like, oh look, we have more gameplay for you, except...
not really.
Modern Warfare 3 on the other hand, there was no excuse. They worked on the mode for minimum a year, and this is off the back of Vanguard's Zombies mode failing to have a main quest on launch. And seeing just how negative the response to that was, they literally did nothing. Outside of the Easter eggs though, Modern Warfare Zombies offered a bland and generic gameplay loop that heavily centered around camo grinding, because let's be honest, most people stopped caring for the mode when they realized 1. The gameplay itself is time-based, meaning you can't endlessly play like in literally every other Zombies game prior to this. 2, it wouldn't be receiving substantial further updates. They literally gave up on the mode within the first 4 months of Modern Warfare 3's lifecycle. 3, the story was now blending with the Modern Warfare universe narratively, which put a lot of people off, as Zombies has always been entirely separate to the multiplayer universe in nearly every single way. And 4, the refusal to update the most basic quality of life features, like increasing the stash and acquisition size, which players continuously asked for since launch. It's now April 2024, the game has been out for just over 5 months, and as far as I'm aware, they still haven't increased either. The schematics are a semi-cool concept introduced to the game, allowing you to spawn in with, for example, a ray gun. If you've managed to find one in any of your previous matches, you just get it forever. However, there's a catch. The cooldowns are simply way too long. The ray gun itself has a 48-hour wait time. 2 whole days! At that point, why bother? I believe in a future update they're adding a way to slightly reduce the cooldown times of schematics, but in my mind it's too little too late. Zombies in general for Modern Warfare 3 has continuously been pushed back more and more. Every update now is pretty much 95% new multiplayer content, with little bug fixes and tiny insignificant additions to the Zombies mode that would take any other studio for any other game maybe a week at most to replicate. Admittedly, I'm actually glad this is the case, because Modern Warfare Zombies is a lost cause at this point. point, and it means Treyarch aren't diverting any more resources to halt their progress for their next upcoming Call of Duty game. Now, I know that sounds bad, but all hope isn't lost, however. In 2024, Black Ops Gulf War will be releasing with a round-based zombies mode. Leaks and rumors have all but confirmed this, and if I find out later in the year it releases with Modern Warfare Zombies Part 2, I'm gonna look like a complete idiot right now. However, with the amount of time zombies fans have been disappointed in the past by Treyarch and their false promises, why should we care, I hear you ask? Here's the main reason. The game has had 3 to 4 full years of development. The only other Treyarch Zombies game to have that level of dedication and production is, you guessed it, Black Ops 3. Arguably the best game in the franchise, despite having its own flaws like the slight lack of content between map releases. Yeah, I know, right? They never change, even nearly a decade later. But overall, 99% of the game was a masterpiece. Hell, the game was so successful that they released a DLC 5. Everyone was joking about it for years. Oh my god, Zombies DLC 5 leaks, real by the way, except it actually happened, and was so well received that it became the #1 selling PlayStation 4 add-on across the entirety of 2017. So the fact Black Ops Gulf War has had nearly the same, if not more development time than Black Ops 3? Yeah, I'd say things look a lot more promising than every release in the last 5+ years. Now, admittedly, it's going to be a sequel to Cold War Zombies, and that game definitely didn't release without its fair share of criticisms, those primarily being the intel system of telling the overarching narrative, which should just be scrapped entirely. I'm fine with listening to a few radios throughout a map and piecing the story together myself, but having to locate literally hundreds? Nah, I'm good. Other criticisms I'd say are the fact the maps, despite being relatively solid overall, the setting is pretty generic. Each map is just a glorified military facility. I find myself coming back to D Machine the most because of the Dark Ether implementations, which really give the map that supernatural, interdimensional vibe that I was hoping the DLCs would really expand upon. And to be honest, the closest we get is, I guess, Forsaken with, you know, the plethora of mini games and stuff, but I think the maps were just a bit too one-dimensional for me. Cold War was more about the gameplay system, which in that regard it heavily succeeded. Will Gulf War be a success? Only time will tell. But judging by the end of Cold War Zombies' story, and the potential for a Zetsubo no Shima remake, or at least some map within the vicinity of that area, it seems they're going back to their roots a bit, and with the colossal amount of criticism Zombies has had in the last 7 years since Black Ops 4, surely they've learned their lesson by now, but to be honest, I'm still not convinced. I have a nasty feeling Treyarch are going to try and replicate the previous games, which will therefore lack enough innovation to keep players hooked for long periods of time. Sure, the standard round-based features worked, but like I mentioned before, despite Black Ops 3 being so beloved by the community, I distinctively remember the long wait times between Dreisendrache and Zetsubo no Shima, and especially between Zetsubo and Gorod Krovi. Pretty much 2 to 3 months of no content. So everyone was just going back to Dreisendrache and continuously playing that, and even though I think that map is a masterpiece, it's like in my top 5 of all time, it got very stale. The core gameplay elements need to feature enticing aspects that we haven't seen before, but allow us to continuously replay the mode without getting bored after a week of playtime. Because to tell the truth, even though most of the Zombies maps that have released over the last, decade and a half, 9 times out of 10, they're extremely good experiences. But Easter eggs are solved within pretty much a day or 2 of the map's release, and then after about a week, 99% of the content that map has to offer is pretty much done and dusted. We simply need more. I've been considering what Treyarch could do for the longest time, and it's actually very simple. So here's a list of everything I think Call of Duty Zombies needs in the future to succeed. Right off the bat, the game needs to release with not 1, but 2 maps from launch day. One for casuals, like Black Ops 3 did with the release of The Giant, that offers a simple but welcoming experience to those new to zombies as a whole, or to those that are just a fan of the original vibe the game was going for, And one map with new experimental features similar to Shadows of Evil from Black Ops 3, that provides enough depth to entice the more familiar fans looking for a more thought out and complex but not confusing experience. Innovation is key. You can't just regurgitate the same formula over and over and over again and hope that somehow it's going to be better this time, because every subsequent Zombies game has had more and more criticisms, to the point where the 2 most recent releases were Modern Warfare Zombies and Vanguard. This way, releasing with 2 maps, you're adhering to players of all skill levels and not entirely alienating 50% of your audience before the game has even released. If the game is either Black Ops 4, where it's pretty much aimed towards the extremely hardcore fans, or we have the opposite effect where it's Cold War zombies and it's a bit too simple and the hardcore fans just don't feel satisfied enough. A key feature of many FPS, roguelite, or RPG style games is skill trees. Something simple, but enough to bring people back for more, continuously wanting to upgrade and max out their stats each game to make slaying the undead just that little bit more fun. Some games that do this incredibly well include Gunfire Reborn, Borderlands 3, Final Fantasy XIV, etc. The main benefit of skill trees is the fact that no matter what your playstyle is, you have a way to express yourself throughout the gameplay to improve the overall experience. Additionally, one of the most important advantages to this element of gameplay is the social aspect, which needs to also be emphasized because zombies content creation on YouTube can definitely be limited at times. Most of the time it's either a tutorial on an Easter egg, a high round, a gameplay commentary, or just the latest news. However, with the implementation of skill trees, you could mix and match different avenues of gameplay style, allowing for new tutorials, guides, showcases, ways to approach certain areas of content within the mode that the average player might not have thought to do. Hypothetically, I'll just come up with an example. Let's say you're struggling with the final boss of whatever the zombies map's going to be, and the guns you're choosing to use already have enough damage to deal with the boss. The main issue you're having is survivability. So you put points into your skill trees that focus on, say, defense, with a little bit into, I don't know, support, for example, allowing you to sustain and survive longer because you don't need to put any more points into damage since you can already deal enough damage to deal with the boss anyway. It's just things like that that would really expand upon the mode in a way that I haven't seen it do in the last 15 years. And it kind of shocks me that the developers have never even considered to add something like this. I can't even think of the closest aspect of a zombies game that we've had that could be considered similar to skill trees. Honestly, the closest thing I can think of is Extinction's Teeth system, but that mode came with its own issues outside of that aspect of its gameplay itself, so moving on. Similar to my previous point, adding a lengthy arsenal of weaponry, from common to legendary rarities, that's just an example, they don't have to be called that. Each weapon variant offering slightly different but unique effects could really level up the overall experience the mode has to offer. Now you might be thinking, where have I heard this before? Now, when I say Advanced Warfare supply drops, most people will either click off the video or skip past this and assume I'm crazy. But hear me out. What if we took the original formula for weapon variants that Sledgehammer Games introduced back in 2014 and entirely removed the pay-to-win aspect, and instead shifted the primary source of obtaining said weapons into the core gameplay of the maps themselves, whether it be getting to a specific round, completing a task, Easter egg, a secret achievement, you name it. There's a seriously awesome opportunity for Treyarch to create an experience that would keep players hooked day after day, wanting to grind for the best possible weapons, and meaning you aren't limited to just 1 or 2 options when it comes to the meta weapon choices. Another way of obtaining the weapons could be some form of in-game forge, where when you kill zombies, you collect materials that you'll then be able to use outside of that game, and once you have enough, you can craft, I don't know, a custom sniper or assault rifle or whatever. As long as the aspect of this edition doesn't have like a severe amount of RNG, because we all know that is a killer in video games, then I think this could really level up the zombies experience and heavily modernize it without even looking into the maps themselves. This is just a gameplay edition. This alone would make up for the fact that maybe the maps release and they aren't actually that great. Similar to Cold War, they're kind of just a little bit lifeless. I'd rather have an extremely good gameplay system than great maps that I only play once and never want to play again. But hey, that's just me. And no, I'm not talking the generic dark ether, dark matter, or whatever camo grind. Ever since Call of Duty moved to Battle.net back in Black Ops 4, I personally stopped caring for achievements entirely. Thankfully, COD is back on Steam from now on. Thank God, because I can't stand Battle.net, meaning achievements are more enticing overall, simply by having a clear way to see how many are in the game, and what you've collected, and the ability to just show them off. Because I think I speak for most people when I say that majority of players stopped caring about completing all of the Easter eggs when Black Ops 4 came out. Black Ops 3 on the other hand, or Black Ops 2, or Black Ops 1, you felt like you had at least a motivation to go for it, just to get that achievement that gives you the 75 or 100 Xbox G achievement point thingies that I forget the name of, or to get that little Steam icon at the bottom right of your screen. Black Ops 4 did have achievements, but they were built into the game themselves, and you kind of just forget about them because they're in a really separate menu tab that you just probably never look at. So I think as long as there's a solid 15 to 20 plus achievements per map, as well as achievements based on the gameplay loop itself, then it'll heavily increase the lifespan of the next COD game that's going to be Gulf War. This one is a no-brainer for me. We need to bring Onslaught back. If you're unfamiliar with the mode, it was introduced back in Black Ops Cold War as a PlayStation exclusive for the entire year, and released to PC and Xbox users once the game's life cycle had finished. Absolutely terrible move, Treyarch. Seriously, I don't know what the marketing team was thinking. Like, even if it's a 1 month exclusive for PlayStation, why a whole year? You're releasing a feature for the game that's only meant to last a year anyway, and doesn't come out for majority of the other players until the next game has come out. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Onslaught was arguably one of the best aspects of Cold War Zombies for me, providing you with the ability to play the standard round-based zombies mode on multiplayer maps, but with a twist. You'd follow around an orb, giving you somewhat limited but reasonable space to kill as many zombies until the wave finished. Every few rounds you'd get mini-boss zombies, giving you a variety of rewards from free perks to pack-a-punch and weapon rarity upgrades, as well as equipment and different rarity weapons. Not only that, but Onslaught came in a plethora of different variations, from mystery munitions, which was essentially gun game, but in zombies, to containment, which is by far my most played and favorite mode of them all, which took smaller multiplayer maps like Nuketown, and instead of the orb moving, it just stays stationary in the middle of the map, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want pretty much. Onslaught was, in my opinion, a genius introduction to zombies, and it simply needs to return. The main reason for that? It's so easy to make. Treyarch, you don't even have to work on the maps. You literally just let the multiplayer team do their job, yoink the map, implement some core zombies features, and boom, you've just added 10, 20, maybe 30 new maps to the game. In what universe is that not a win for you guys? This would 100% fix the issue zombies has always had between DLC and content releases, but I still don't think it's enough. Now, like my previous point stated, Onslaught was an extremely good addition as a game mode to zombies, but there's no reason why we can't have more. We simply need to see more rotating game modes, similar to how the multiplayer playlists have. Maybe a playlist that only lasts for a week, and you know, some playlists are going to be more enticing than others, but it keeps the player wanting to keep on playing, because when that mode comes back that you really enjoyed, you say to all your friends, oh my god, finally they're bringing, you know, gun game or perk roulette back to zombies, something like that. It's an incredibly simple feature that I just do not understand why it hasn't been emphasized more. We saw glimpses of it in like Black Ops 4, for example. The zombie rush mode is a cool idea, but most players pretty much didn't even use it or play it. It didn't receive enough substantial updates to entice me to want to play it. Maybe going back now, you know, 7, 8 years after the game released or whatever, but that's just because it's something I haven't done much. The zombie gauntlets were a cool idea, and I think we should have different variations of that because if you're familiar with my Cause and Effect mod series, it's pretty much like that. Every single round you have a different thing that will occur, except it's actually formulaic, where you have to get to the next round to figure out what that's going to be, and then every time you revisit that map, you know what's going to happen on that round, so you can prepare in advance. It's methodical, it's smart, and it adds a level of strategy to zombies that I think was received relatively positive. Previous modes we've had that are not necessarily zombies but have just been completely abandoned. Who remembers Free Run on Black Ops 3? I'm sure most of you actually don't, but it was essentially a speedrun parkour mode. It had multiple difficulties, a few different maps, but after the release of Black Ops 3, they never added any new maps. Like, why? Such a simple but stupid decision to not expand upon something that you've actively got as one of the options on the main menu. Now, we could put this into zombies just by simply playing them on zombies maps. Maybe someone's a big fan of Mirror's Edge, and they see, oh, the new Zombies game has got a parkour edition. Maybe I'll give it a try. You know, if you can get past the $70 paywall. I could think of a lot more game modes they could add, but those are just off the top of my head. You know, seasonal ones as well, like Halloween, winter updates. Cold War did that very well, which is why I give it so much praise, because they did actively try and keep the gameplay system alive between the maps releasing. But I feel like it was the only game to do that, and we haven't really seen that since, and I really hope that it happens in the next game. This next point I think is going to be crucial to the success of this next Zombies game. We simply need to have the original 4-person crew that every map had. That has to return. I want to give quick praise to World War II Zombies that actually did this but still had the operator system in the game. There's no reason why we can't have our own custom operators, but still have the original set 4-person crew to make sure the story has some level of personality. You know, I don't care about the Cold War Easter eggs as much because I'm just playing as generic glowy skeleton character, or I don't know, Rambo. Yeah, it's cool, but I don't feel immersed into the story. World War II Zombies did this perfectly because, you know, you had the crew, but you could unlock secret characters that you could play as and you could load into the game and you just have them, but it doesn't take away from the storyline. Again, something that I don't understand why they got rid of, because every iconic map, a lot of the time you think of the characters first. I mean, when I think of 5, I instantly think of JFK and Richard Nixon. When I think of Kino to Toten, I think of obviously just the original crew, but mainly Rick Toffman, I suppose, because he was always my favorite. Origins, you've got the premise crew, and then you've got the maps that introduce celebrity casts, which also needs to come back. I feel like Call of Duty's earned enough money from their ridiculously overpriced $100 gauntlets and stuff. I mean, they have celebrity operator bundles all the time, so would it really be so difficult to just get a crew of 4 relatively well-known celebrities, ideally Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and put them into a Zombies experience? Get them to say like 50 lines for quotes each, and that's basically it. You know, that wouldn't cost much considering how sky high the revenue for Call of Duty has been in recent years. That's the thing. COD hasn't been failing. They're extremely successful, but it's because Warzone is taking over and has taken over. Zombies has just been pushed back and back and back. And at this point, I'm either saying they go full hog and try and make Zombies an extremely amazing experience again, or just stop beating a dead horse and remove it. Don't try and make something mediocre that's just going to piss people off, because I don't think the Zombies community can handle another Vanguard or another Modern Warfare Zombies. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you'll know I have a very strong positive opinion on the survival maps from Black Ops 2 Zombies. For whatever reason, they're only in the Green Run portion, but Town, Farm, Bus Depot, essentially the ability to play on smaller versions of a map. Just like I mentioned with Onslaught, this is a no-brainer because it's extremely simple for the devs to make. The map is already made, you just take a very small portion of it, lock off certain areas and turn them into barriers, and then boom, you've just got a tiny little Zombies map. So if people enjoy and want to just have a more simple experience, they could hop on, for example, let's say Dreisendrache had survival maps. You could play on the rocket test facility portion, or the courtyard. Realistically, there's no reason why they couldn't do that, except laziness. And the fact we haven't seen it since technically World War II Zombies. Another W for that mode. You could unlock Groston House, which was the intro level to World War II Zombies, and you could play that as a survival map. So I think we should also see some variation of that return, but with Treyarch doing it. Like in Cold War Zombies, on the map Forsaken, you can do an Easter egg with one of the arcade machines that allows you to go to Nakta and Toten. Why can we not, after beating the Forsaken Easter egg, or all 4 maps on Cold War Zombies, not including Outbreak, and just have Nakta as a survival map? To be honest, would I play Nakta and Toten? Probably not, but it should still be an option. You already made the map and put it into the Forsaken, like, side quest, so how much more difficult would it be to just put a Rampage Inducer, a couple wall weapons, a mystery box, maybe a Wonder Fizz, and that's literally it? Am I the only one that's just, like, confused at why Treyarch have just never done these simple things? It's the reason why I haven't talked about it much on my channel before, because it befuddles me. It doesn't make any sense. They're biting their nose off to spite their face. Like, I don't know. Anyway, next point. I think without a doubt, super Easter eggs have to return. Even if it's just very similar to the Black Ops 3 one, where you have to collect the little gummy worm on every single map. Just beat the Easter egg and then you unlock some kind of secret additional bonus for when you beat the final map. Something that I think deserves a lot of credit, thank you of course to Lee Ross, for making the Mephistopheles boss fight in Infinite Warfare Zombies. Once you beat all of the Infinite Warfare Easter eggs, not only do you unlock this awesome boss, you also get the option to revisit the previous maps with Director's Cut Edition, which is one of the best features in any Zombies game, period. You can basically just play on them with full perks and like 50k points immediately. It's obviously optional because that makes the game very simple, but at the end of the day, you're playing a video game to have fun, so why not entice fun a little bit more? We could also explore super Easter eggs in a different way where, similar to Black Ops 2 Zombies, for example, you have multiple paths that you can do the story for, Richtofen or Max's side. It doesn't have to be a direct copy of that, but we could have, this is going to be a really old reference, but Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, the Star Wars game, spoiler, but at the end of the game, you can basically decide whether you want to go light side or dark side. Why can we not have a morally questionable decision throughout each Zombies map that basically dictates the character you're playing as level of morality? Do you play as an evil guy? Do you play as a good guy? I feel like it would add so much potential to the game if you had the ability to influence that decision. So in conclusion, I think we can all collectively agree COD Zombies is an amazing mode. Yeah, sure, it's had some pretty disappointing map releases and recent games, but we all still love the mode. We want to see it succeed. Me especially, I mean, that's why I made this whole video in the first place. I'm hoping that somehow someone at Treyarch might see this. I doubt it, but who knows? I just hope that whatever releases for COD 2024, in terms of the Zombies mode, I just want it to be at least semi-fun, replayable, a glimpse of the old where it shows the true passion and devotion for this mode that started out as a simple weekend project that wasn't even going to be this fully fledged experience, this expansive universe. When it started all the way back in World at War, that's what it was. It was just a fun idea that the devs were like, you know what, let's just try this and see how it goes. And now look at it. Hell, I've pretty much made a career off the mode, and so have thousands of other people. Of course, you don't have to agree with necessarily everything I've said in this video. I don't expect anyone to. I just wanted to share my opinion, and I feel like a lot of these points, they would be amazing to see in Zombies. They really would. So thank you all so much for watching. I know this video was a bit different to my usual content. I do a lot of gameplay commentaries where I just sort of vibe and play whatever map releases or I feel like. So if you'd like to watch those, maybe check out this video on screen, who knows? Potentially drop a like and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.